Shall we all be seated, please? So, right, I'll invite the president of Garia to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Hansen. Good afternoon, all. The moment you've been waiting for has arrived. We have in our midst now, we've been joined by her ladyship, Justice Tokonu, and also by the Honorable Deputy AG, Madam Diana Dapa. Okay, I got it right, so forgive me. All right, now this afternoon's program, or the last part of the program you had this morning, after all the learning is done, we now will do the induction, okay? And the chairperson for this afternoon's program is none other than His Lordship, Professor Justice Dateba. So at this point, I will hand over. You all know him, so I'm not going to go through any long introductions, okay? So, my Lord.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. It is a great honor for me to chair this event because it is the first of its kind. As the president of Garia said earlier in the day, we are virtually inaugurating a new profession. There have been practitioners who have done work which one could call insolvency work, but under the new framework of the SIRA, this is a new beginning. So you should count yourselves as trailblazers in this enterprise to professionalize the rescue culture in the Ghanaian state. So it gives me great pleasure to accept to be chairman for this event. So I will now call upon the Honorable Deputy Attorney General, representing the Attorney General, the Honorable Diana Dapa, will give us her remarks.
Thank you very much, my Lord Chair. I bring you warm greetings from the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice, who has had to attend to an equally important assignment. However, on a personal note, I'm very happy to be here. I see a number of my former students at the Faculty of Law, GEMPA, here in present, and I'd hoped that during the session, all the questions you asked me on liquidation, you would have them addressed within the period. And so I hereby present the address of the Honorable Attorney General. Chairman of the occasion, Your Lordship, Justice Samuel Kofi Dateba, Your Ladyship, Justice Mrs. Getchu Tokonu, Mrs. Jemima Oware, the Registrar-General, Mr. Felix Ado, President of Garia, Mr. Hamid Usogo, the IFC World Bank Group Leader, Ghana Office, Garia Council and members, all inductees, our friends from the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Everything I say here is from the Honorable Attorney General because there are some statements of facts which I wasn't present, but he was. So it gives me great pleasure, he says, to be here this afternoon to participate in this historic first induction ceremony for insolvency practitioners licensed by the Registrar of Companies with the assistance of Garia under the Corporate Insolvency and Restructuring Act 2020 Act 1015. It will be remiss on my part not to recognize and acknowledge the funding support from the International Finance Corporation, that is the IFC World Bank Group. I am particularly delighted about today's ceremony because it constitutes one of the building blocks for the revised regime for companies in Ghana, which started with the enactment of the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, and therefrom continued with the Corporate Insolvency and Restructuring Act 2020, which I refer to in short as SIRA. My Lord Chair, CIRA lists as the purpose of the Act the provision of a legal regime for the administration of businesses, property, and affairs of a distressed company in a manner that provides an opportunity for the company to, as much as possible, continue in existence as a going concern, for the temporary management of the affairs, business and property of a distressed company, and the placing of a temporary freeze on the rights of creditors and other claimants against a distressed company, and so on and so forth. I am happy to state that the next step in the implementation of the new regime will be the laying of a bill before Parliament, which will transform Garia into a statutory body in compliance with Section 171 of CIRA, and this is assiduously being worked on. Mr. Chair, please let me place on record that the new regime replaces the Companies Act 1963, Act 179, and the Corporate Bodies Official Liquidations Act 1963, Act 180. Those acts were solid pieces of legislation crafted by one of the foremost authorities on company law of this generation, Professor L.C.B. Gawa, or as some refer to it, Goa. To my mind, one of the most exciting features of the new regime, which is built on the foundation of the earlier regime, is the introduction of statutory measures to promote the establishment of a rescue culture. When a business becomes distressed, Mr. Chair, the first initiative of its creditors should not be to liquidate it, as this is not healthy for the development of a private sector. Where a business can be saved by restructuring, every effort should be made by skilled professionals to save it by restructuring it. There is therefore the need now and a deliberate effort to encourage lawyers, accountants, and bankers to take an interest in the restructuring profession. We have to be voices in promoting its benefits, and Garia has the responsibility to arrange for capacity building of professionals in the skills of restructuring. Garia will eventually arrange for qualifying examinations for prospective insolvency practitioners. For now, the first batch of IPs, that is insolvency practitioners, have been given a briefing on the new regime by Garia before their induction, I am told. I congratulate you, the new IPs, while urging you to comply with the highest professional standards in the conduct of your responsibilities. The government expects you to work hard to enable the new regime to succeed in the interest of the economic development of Ghana and to abide by the professional ethics that have been crystallized by Garia. Mr. Chair, indeed, I would recommend to government that all IPs should be invited by ailing state-owned enterprises to help them turn them around. As you may know, a substantial number of state-owned enterprises currently exist on subventions, contrary to their enabling legislations, which require them to at least break even in the execution of their mandates. Very few state-owned enterprises generate profits to pay dividends to government for the significant investment made in them. The situation has been worsened by the global pandemic, the COVID-19, and an element I consider necessary and non-negotiable will be to recommend that qualified and competent IPs, such as you here, will be allowed to assist in the restructuring of these corporations or companies. Mr. Chair, today marks the first step in the new thrust to put an emphasis on rescuing enterprises when they become distressed. The Office of the Attorney General demonstrates its firm commitment and will work cooperatively with the Registrar of Companies and Garia to ensure the success of this new regime. CIRA contains provisions that enable the sanctioning of aberrant IPs, and therefore, dear new IPs, you should endeavor to ensure that your conduct and performance are always above board and compliant with the highest professional standards. I wish you every success in your new responsibilities. Mr. Chair, I cannot conclude this address without commending Garia for the work it has done in this area. Garia, I understand, was established some 15 years ago in 2006, and its primary objective is to play a leadership role in corporate restructuring, corporate governance, business recovery, and insolvency in Ghana. Garia, as you all may know, is the Ghanaian affiliate of Insol International, a worldwide federation for practitioners who specialize in business turnaround and insolvency. As you may further know, Garia was a leading advocate for the reform of the two principal business laws, that is Act 992 and Act 1015, since its inception 15 years ago. Mr. Chair, in fact, I had the privilege last weekend to stand in for His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, at the second Garia Presidential Awards and Dinner Night, which was to celebrate, among other things, the passage of the Sira. As I mentioned to the dinner guests that evening, I would be looking forward to be invited to the next Presidential Dinner and Awards Night to celebrate the passage of the Garia Bill as a statutory body. It is my hope that the recommendations of this gathering, as well as that which I gave on the night of the dinner, will be implemented. Once again, I express my profound gratitude to the organizers, to Garia, to the Registrar-General's Department, and to the IFC World Bank Group for their kind invitation and for making this induction a reality. To you, the inductees, I wish you the best for a successful practice in making this induction a reality. I wish you the best for a successful practice in assisting our distressed companies. And please remember that the labors of the mind and productions of the brain are equally entitled to the benefit therefrom as the labors of the body are. God bless us all. Thank you for your attention.
Our next task is to ask Her Ladyship, Justice Gertrude Tokono, to administer the oath. But before that, I would like her to address a few, shall we say, admonitory remarks in the direction of reminding you of the seriousness of the obligations you are assuming upon taking the oath. Justice Tokono is one of my prides. I was given the task when I was made a Supreme Court judge of chairing the user committee of the Commercial Court, and the batch of young judges who were there included her. Justice Akwa, who was then the Chief Justice, said they had all been carefully selected. And clearly, the careful selection has borne fruit, as she's now on the Apex Court. I call upon Justice Tokono.
My Lord Chair, distinguished guests, distinguished management of Garia, thank you very much for the honor and opportunity to be asked to administer this oath. Good afternoon. Humbly, the thoughts I would like to share with you is that the task you're taking on is extremely heavy on regulation. It's extremely heavy on rules. And because the legal content is absolutely the benchmark for any action you take, I would very, very, very much crave that you ensure that you are totally abreast with not just the letter, but also the spirit of all the regulations, and that you take time to understand the purpose of every provision, the policy thinking behind every provision. In recent times, it's been very painful in the courts, watching cases involving the financial crisis institutions, the institutions in crisis, watching how slowly the cases have been moving through court because not enough attention has been paid to the import of rules. Anything done in the courts is 100% rules of procedure, 100% the law you are dealing with, 100% the burden of evidence. And therefore, and if that gives you 300%, that's still 100%. And therefore, I really would beg you, especially the non-lawyers among you, to invest in very strong relationships with litigation lawyers. So because if there's any objection, the objection has to end up in court. And in fact, in some of the, I'm sorry you're standing up like this, but as supervising judge for commercial courts, and I took over from His Lordship Dateba, is a task. When anything goes wrong, it ends up on your plate. I keep hearing these things, and I have to find ways of walking the fine lines, remembering the weight of judicial processes on the economy, and also the need for everybody to abide by the rules of court and the directions of the law. So I beg of you, there is nothing that's going to be commonsensical about what you're going to do. Nothing that's going to be logical. Nothing that's going to be moral. Everything has to abide by rules and processes. If you have to give somebody a notice, ensure you give them the notice. If the notice has to be for a number of days, make sure it's gone through those number of days. If somebody has, the notice has to be given in a particular way, ensure it's gone that particular way, because you will end up with root shocks if you do things out of the way the law has designed them and end up in court only for a court to tell you that what you did is invalid, and so everything is unraveled. I'm sure that you quite hear what I am saying. And not every lawyer is a litigation lawyer. I'm very, very glad to see Mrs. Wenis here, to see Mr. Dupoku here, to see Ms. Antrakwa here, and a number, Mrs. Marietta Brewer-Popong, that I grew up in, that she grew up in my chambers, and a number of litigation lawyers, but not every lawyer is a litigation lawyer. And so I beg of you, keep in mind that every jot and every tittle of the law will have to be kept, and ensure your actions abide by rules, regulations, principles, and processes. Thank you very much. Now that I've eaten my palm nut soup, I'll go on with the work. Could you kindly take the official oath now and say after me? I, and if you could fill in your name. Do, and you can say in the name of the Almighty God, swear, or you solemnly affirm if you don't want to swear. Do that I will at all times well and truly serve in the profession of an insolvency practitioner. And that I'll uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the tenets, principles, and philosophies of the insolvency and restructuring laws of Ghana. As amended from time to time. And that I will at all times conduct myself in accordance with the Code of Professional Conduct and ethics, as issued by the Registrar of Companies and the Ghana Association of Restructuring and Insolvency Advisors. So help me God. Congratulations.
Congratulations once again to our inductees. The first person is Adelaide Bene Prempe. Second on our list is Alfred Aye. Alfred Sotowu Boachi. Marvel Astonish Aye. Augustina Ekua Mills. Bernard Waston Kwe Adade. Boatin Peter Kwabna. Boatin Peter Kwabna. Bright Bempa. Charlotte Yawa Imperium should follow. Can you take off your mask before you come over? Collins Kofi Japan. Daniel Andrews Wilberforce. David Adom. David Adom. Seven Hammond, Doctor. Ebenezer Bacha Nakote. Edward Himang Aka. Elkana Ko Abedu. Emma Adinjira. Emmanuel Bacha Nakote. Emmanuel Matekoli. Emmanuel Nakote. Eugene Esiama Buadi. Eugene Kwesiredu. Felix Ado. Fifi Kwache. Frances Van Hensaki. Fred Kwashi Awote. Freeman Saba. Gabriel Apote. George Kofi Bekai. George Owudu Nate. Gideon Bosompem. Gloria Janjua. Godwill Ansa, Harvard Otu, Echo Akai Otu John, John Fifi Ewu, Jonas Aikwe Ai, yeah, at this stage, I'll invite the Deputy Attorney General to do the presentation. Julius Kofi Aivo, Justice Oting, Kweku Brebu Anda, Kelvin Hamza Abdallah, Kingsley Kweku Dakun Sesenu, Kwabena Adukusi, Kwabena Jamfini Makon, Kwajo Jesse Intrakwa, Kwame Diawu Ampofo, Mame Brago Yabua, Henrietta Brew appear upon Mawinam Gagakuma, Maswal Aka Amihia, Nana Amakran Stevens, Nathaniel Tabaring, Mi Amano Dodo, Ola Dele Kweku Arabic, sorry. Osai Kweku Ajay Jamfi, I'll now invite the Registrar-General to do the honors of presenting the last batch of graduates. Peter Clever Sangbederi, Peter Duodu, Prosper Do Melome, Ransford Ama, Robert Donaldi, Robert Donaldi. Samuel Abiu. Samuel Apia Asare. Kingsford Arthur Samuel. Samuel Sapon. Stephen Entry Esimen. Velda Sosa. Victoria Bright. Yao Apia Latte. Yao Frimpong. Audrey Nakote. Kwaku Nkrumah. Isaac Sapon. Pakwesi Morrison. Simon Donu. Charles William Zuenis. That is all. Mr. Chairman, I'm done.
I must congratulate all of you again. Before I give my closing remarks, as any graduation ceremony worth its salt should have, there should be a valedictorian. And it is my singular honor and pleasure to invite Adelaide Bennett Prempe to give the valedictory.
My Lord Chair, Mr. Justice Databa, Her Ladyship, Justice Mrs. Tohunu, Honorable Deputy Attorney General Dinah Asanaba Dapa, Garia Council, our very own one and only Registrar-General, Mrs. Owari, ladies and gentlemen, all distinguished members present, Garia Council present. It gives me great pleasure to be standing here today as an inductee amongst you to offer a vote of thanks. I believe that today's story is a story of perseverance. Perseverance of a group of people who came together, saw a vision when the path wasn't clear, and built this dream for us that we're all benefiting today. So firstly, I want to give all due credit to the proponents of the CIRA as we know it today, namely Mr. Felix Addo, my Lord Chair, Professor Dateba, Ms. Vicky Bright, Mr. Felix Intrakwa, and all those who I haven't mentioned. I know a lot of work went into the 15 years that you speak of. So thank you very much. When we speak of professionals, and Mr. Addo told us earlier that the true measure of professional is not Michael Jordan as we know it, but those who abide by the code. I will say that they are a walking example of what a professional should be, and we can learn a lot from them. Secondly, I'd like to thank all those who have made this event possible. The IFC, represented by our team lead, Mr. Hamid Isogo, who's in the room, Mr. Amate Fio, and all those who made this event possible and fed us as well. So thank you very much. And funding from the Swiss Secretariat for Economic Affairs as well. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the speakers of today who've taught us a lot. I found this event, I'm sure as you have, intellectually stimulating. We've been through a long day, but certainly we've learned a lot from Mrs. Owari, notwithstanding ill health, turned up this morning because the show must go on in her books, and she delivered. So thank you, Mrs. Owari. Our own Mr. Felix Addo, who has educated us a lot. His passion and energy puts a lot of us to shame. Mr. Felix Addo, thank you very much. And Mr. Felix Nchwakwa and Ms. Vicky Bright, who took us through the code and also how we should behave ourselves. I know we've taken a lot of information on, but certainly, if I may share my few takeaways with my fellow inductees. Let me take the opportunity, first of all, to congratulate you all. We are pace setters to a very new profession. But the beauty about our profession is that we all belong to professional bodies. We all have a code that we abide by. And so, humbly, if I may, say that we should not throw our codes away because they have brought us thus far. So we should see this as extra code and etiquette rules that we should be abide by. We are told that the burden on us is heavy. We are told that all eyes will be watching us, and therefore, with the privilege comes the responsibility. We have been told through the practice management lesson that we have to behave ourselves, not least because of the sanctions that are involved, but also the fact that our conduct in this profession will shape the policies and the direction that this profession takes in the future. The second takeaway for me is the fact that we are urged to be available. We live in a very fast-paced world. As professionals, we are told, namely, and I think specifically in the CIRA, we are told to only take work when we can take the responsibility on, when we have the capacity to do the work. I think sitting through this induction today has shown us that we have a tall order. Not only is our profession regulation heavy, we also have to make sure that we do our work thoroughly. That means no shortcuts, thoroughly researching, not taking files at face value, making sure that we've done our own due diligence, perhaps visiting agencies severally to make sure we get the information we need. So we have to be available, not just capacity, but to make sure that we take time to take the critical decisions. Businesses are at stake, lives are at stake. And finally, I would say preparation. I think it's very important to know that although we have been described as the grandfathers of this profession, and we've sort of slipped through the net when it comes to examination and such, we owe it to ourselves and our clients to ensure we are educated. We avail ourselves for training, be it local or foreign, because at the end of the day, if we don't play by the rules, we'll find ourselves in court or worse. So, bearing in mind that we're now in a very small global economy where we have companies with foreign subsidiaries, where we are bound to encounter cases with cross-border elements, where we're about to be engaged in cross-border insolvency proceedings, where the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is at our doorstep, we do not have a choice but to excel and to educate ourselves. And in the words of a Roman philosopher that I am fond of, Seneca, he says, "Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity." So let's prepare for that golden opportunity that will surely come our way. And finally, I would say that it's amazing how many people don't know about the CERA. I don't know whether you spend time talking to people, but you know, the real people that matter do not know about it. So we really need to charge ourselves to spread the good news, to educate people about it, so that they know that there is hope to turn businesses around. There is a new rescue culture, and if you avail yourself, you'll be able to not necessarily end up in liquidation as we were used to, but we can actually resuscitate companies. Thank you all so much. God bless you all.
I think with those ringing words of the valedictorian, there's hardly any need for me to utter any more words. Only to thank you all for coming to this day-long event. I think it's been a successful day, and we've launched, hopefully, a new, vibrant profession. So I will proceed to bring proceedings to a close, except to leave an opening for a photo.
Yes. No.